There's a need for transformation that cannot be overlooked. There are no easy solutions. We must push forward. We're living in an intense, vibrant period of history, and it's becoming increasingly urgent to plan our country's future. It will take creativity, flexibility, and technological innovation. We need speed and expertise to manage this change. At this moment, Milan's reputation is at an all-time high. Politecnico is an attractive, large, open laboratory in the heart of Milan, featuring the innovative study programs needed to prepare for new professions and to face new challenges. The research and experimentation of today will illuminate tomorrow. We need creativity and intuition. This is a great opportunity. The challenges that lie before us are tough. Now's the time to take our destiny into our own hands, to seize the day, to pioneer the change. We must stay switched on. There's a need for transformation that cannot be overlooked.
Great. Welcome, everybody, to this webinar. My name is Luc Mulling. I'm the host for today. And before we go over to Milan, I'd like to, first of all, of course, welcome everyone from wherever you are. And already saw in the chat that we have people joining in from different countries, Spain, Ukraine, Bulgaria, Croatia, already see. So great to see that. If you're just joining in, let us know where you're logging in from. And yeah, before we go over to Milan, as mentioned, we have some options to explain to you, because we'd like to make this session as interactive as possible. So besides saying where you're from, you can also, of course, ask any questions. You can write them at any time through the panel called questions at the right bottom. Also, for people that are watching the recording, you can also still write your questions. We can, of course, not answer them live right now. However, we will be sending these questions through to the staff of Politecnico di Milano. Also, I will open up a couple of poll questions. I already actually opened up one that you see under polls. So some of you already started replying. Great. Let us know what is your academic or professional background, just to get to know you a little bit better. And there will be some more questions later. And last but not least, we have a little fun button. So at the bottom of the screen, you see React. I think already some of you maybe have found it. You can click on those buttons, to let us know your reaction, just to interact a bit more with the presenters that we have lined up, for them to know there's people at the other end. Yeah, without further ado, let's go over to the presenters. So we have with us Gabriella Farina, who's the International Marketing and Recruitment Team of Politecnico di Milano, and he will introduce himself and the students that he has with him today. So Gabriella, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Luke, and thank you everyone for joining this webinar. As you said, I'm from the International Recruitment Office of Politecnico di Milano, and with me today, as our guest, there is Georgiana from Romania, and she is currently enrolled in one of our master degree in English. So, without further ado, I would like to start my presentation. And well, probably we already know it is in the name. We are the Politecnico di Milano, which means that our main base is at Milan. Probably you already know the city, but in general, there is a strict link between Milan and the city. In fact, Milan is the industrial capital of Italy. We are located in the most industrialized region in Italy, which is the beating heart of our economy. It is also what, as I love to say, it links Italy with the rest of Europe, because it is the most cosmopolitan city, and every year it attracts a lot of international students and international workers to work here in our industries, but also in our fashion industries, because Milan probably is mostly renowned for fashion, but it's not only that. As I've said, we are really important economic capital of Europe. And therefore, Politecnico di Milano kind of reflects this kind of attitude of the city of Milan, and we are strictly in connection with the very tissue of the city, and also with the industries that are part of our economy and our social environment. Milan is mostly famous for that, but it is also a good place for tourism. And again, from the architectural point of view, is quite renowned. And again, in Politecnico di Milano, we have many programs in architecture that reflects the tradition of architecture that Milan already has. And I mentioned that it is a city made for students. It attracts a lot of students, and not only in Politecnico, of course, but we have other university. But Politecnico is the one focused on the technical subject, which are engineering, design, and architecture. Talking more about the city and how it is for students and how international it is, I will leave briefly the floor to Georgiana to present herself and to describe her experience here in Milan.
Hello everyone. So, as Gabriele introduced me, I am a student of Politecnico di Milano, a master student, and life as a student in Milano can be quite interesting, I could say. You have a variety of a lot of experiences that you can go through. There are a lot of beautiful places, first of all, to see and to discover. In general, the entire city is amazing, and it's a really nice combination of extremes, because it's also a city with full of history that reflects a lot of the Italian culture, but in the same time you have all the modern concepts, and it's really showing also the fact that, as he said previously, it's the industrial capital of the city. As a student, also, you have a lot of opportunities, for example, student-oriented events, a lot of discounts. For example, you can go to visit also the cultural part, but also the professional part. There are a lot of fairs, there are a lot of museums, there are a lot of places to visit. You can go for a walk, or you can go into a museum. There are really a lot of things to do that can combine with your academic experience, because moving abroad and going to continue your studies somewhere doesn't mean only studying. It's an experience 360.
That's exactly what I was meant to say, that it's sum up perfectly what is the experience of the average student here, the international student here in Milan. And but there's not only Milan, actually. As I've said, we are based in Milan, where we have our two main campuses, which are Milano Leonardo and Milano Bovisa. In which campuses do you study?
In Leonardo.
In Leonardo, of course, which is the very central one. But we also have other campuses in cities like Lecco, Piacenza, Cremona, or Mantova, which are in the same region and the same area. You don't have to think that these campuses are a lesser version of the campuses of Milan, because being in smaller cities also have its advantages, and in no sense they are a lesser part of Politecnico di Milano. They are all part of our academic environment, so you don't have to think that they are less important. Plus, some programs are hosted solely on these campuses. So there is also this choice to be considered, but you are not isolated from Milan anyway, since they are quite easy to reach by train. Actually, since I have to mention that we have a very good transportation system actually in our region, so connection really works here. Coming more into details of Politecnico di Milano, just to give you a brief, a small context, we are ranked, according at least to the US rankings, the first university in Italy in general terms. We are also a very big university for Italian standards, so we are well in a good position, and we are at the 8th world best place for design, which is the area where we are most prestigious and known for that. In the top 10 for the architecture, general architecture, and in the top 20 for what concern engineering. But the ranking reflects the area, as I've said at the beginning, in where Milan probably is mostly known for. But again, this doesn't mean that engineering is less valuable than the other three fields. And we are also in alliance and cooperation with other universities, other technical universities, like, for example, the ATH of Zurich, and the Technical University of Aachen, or the TU of Delft. Though we are part of the same networks of technical university, like the Idea League or the Enhance League. So we are in strict cooperation with this other university, and we have exchange agreement with them. There are a lot of projects in between the two universities. Okay. As a technical university, we are very committed to research and technology transfer, and we are the first university in Italy for a project founded by the EU. But not only that, we are the top university in Italy for what concerns patents released, and we also have a lot of spin-off. We'll come on this point at the end of the presentation. And we have a lot of different labs, which serves not only academic purpose, but also industrial purpose. As I said, we are in strict relation with a lot of industries, so we are in charge of research also for industrial groups. So because we have advanced labs for that, so industry rely also on us. As I've said, we are very much integrated in the tissue of our economy. It's not just a way of saying, but it is actually a fact. And if you want to know more about the research that are ongoing in Politecnico di Milano, we have two websites that you can consult. The one is Frontiere, which is more focused on the achievement of our professor and the research that they are doing right now, especially on design lately. And then there is progressing research, which is more focused on engineering themes and what concern also sustainability, and a project founded by the European Commission. So if you want to know more about that, there is plentiful of material to get you inspired on, in which you may be interested in. As Giorgiano also said at the beginning, we are very committed to internationalization, as not only as a city but as a university. In fact, we have more than 7,000 international students enrolled. Of course, our total population is not it's not enrolled at the same level in the different programs. As you can see here, the majority is enrolled in our master degree programs, because nearly every master degree program is taught in English. So of course it is more appealing for international students. But the same goes for a PhD. All our PhD programs are taught in English, and they are also a good option for international candidates. Coming to our Master of Science programs offer, we have the areas where we are most famous for, which are architecture and design. As you can see, there are many programs that are mixed, and there are very specific aspects of the profession of architects. For example, someone is more focused on urban design, others are more focused on policy design and urban planning, others are most on design and history. And yes, there are very different fields that you can choose to study. And again, the same goes for design, where you have very different branches. It is worth to note that on the contrary, in contrast with engineering and architecture, design is the only area of study which is located only in our campus in Milan, in Bovisa, whereas the other programs in architecture and engineering are more sparse on our other campuses. Design, for the fact that it's very linked to the city of Milan, also it is only in the campus of Milano Bovisa. And again, here you have different options for design. There's also the design and engineering program, which is halfway between the two areas of studies and more focused on industry. And in general, we have a very industrial approach to design. Coming to engineering, as you can see, there are a lot of programs with basically every possible branch of engineering. We are basically adding a new program every year. For example, the brand new high performance computing engineering, which is focused on quantum computing. So it's based on very recent research, but our professor decided it is better to dedicate a specific program to that, because also in Italy we are quite advanced in that kind of research. So we decided to create a new program for that. But we also have many other different areas like nuclear engineering, electronic engineering, also agricultural in the campus of Cremona, and biomedical engineering, which is the program that hosts our guest Giorgiana. Can you tell us about something about the program? How do you find it? It is in line with what you expect? You like it?
My program, indeed, it's a really interesting one. My case was to have a bachelor also in biomedical engineering, and when I was thinking of choosing a master, my wishes were to go a little bit on maybe corporation part, management information, a little bit of industry knowledge. And I chose Politecnico di Milano because the biomedical engineering program in here has some exquisite courses that were very interesting to me. For example, regulation and certification of medical equipment, or how a healthcare system is organized. Things a little bit different from the raw technical electronic knowledge that I already acquired in my bachelor. And the fact that Politecnico di Milano has so many master programs, different master programs, gives you the chance to actually niche a little bit your bachelor studies in the direction that you like, because different person with the same bachelor would want different career paths. So taking, for example, materials and nanotechnologies master would give you a more niche direction of your career. Otherwise, someone like me or someone that goes straight to the management engineering, because this is also possible, can go more on this managerial path of the career. And this is really a big flexibility that helps you also to understand exactly what you want in life and to acquire it easier, not to just do some studies, get a diploma, and then try to figure it out on yourself what is the niche that you want to take.
Yeah, exactly. We also have some mixed program between the different programs. For example, there is one for management and build environment and management engineering. There are a lot of mixed program between different areas. So we strive towards interdisciplinarity, which it can be also good for you to find a niche and something that you really care about. Also in prospect for your future, as Giorgiana said, you have a very that you have the opportunity to personalize more your study in this regard. Also on our side, I have to mention at the beginning I said that we are the industrial core of Italy, but also we are quite advanced in the field of biomedical engineering in general and pharmaceutical industry. So again, it was exactly the right place for her to study, but this is true also for other master degree programs. I will come to the point of the English and the Italian language. All our programs at master degree level, with a couple of exceptions, but the vast majority are totally entirely in English, 100%. So Italian is not required for the application as an entry requirement. You can just study without knowing Italian. However, we highly recommend you, and we try to nudge you to study Italian for some very important reason. The first one is to make friends and become more acquainted with the rest of the city and our campuses. And it can be also beneficial for your private life, in your daily life at the supermarket, and when you are around the city, because in our campus is one story, but not every Italian is able to speak in English. So having a good grasp of Italian can be beneficial for you in the short term, and but also in the long term, because we are very committed to the employability of our students. We'll cover that point later. But I can anticipate that in general it is important to learn a little bit of Italian in order to enhance your chances of getting an internship or to find a job during or after your career. So it is really important for us that you learn a little bit of Italian. And again, we require you to reach a very minimum level of Italian upon your graduation. But for that, we have free courses of Italian offered to international students that Giorgiana is attending. How do you like that the course is helping you?
I actually already finished the course because you are required to take a number of courses in one of the semesters of the 4 semesters that you are attending. So it's up to you when you want to pursue with these courses. I decided to do them in the very first semester so that I can acquire a little bit of Italian that I can use further. The schedule is pretty flexible, so you can choose among of different combinations when to take your 4 hours per week of Italian. The courses are really interesting. You are provided with the materials and also the subjects discussed there, the topics to form some sentences, to form some conversations. They are all related to a possible outside scenario. For example, how would you talk and express yourself when you are going to the restaurant or to the cinema, or how do you talk about when you are going to do the groceries or to an exam. So everything is super useful, and in the end you just take this language exam, which if you just put a little bit of attention and interest in the lessons, the exam is pretty easy.
Yeah, there are very focused on the practical task, as I said at the beginning, because it can be useful in your daily life. It's not just for the academic itself. It is important in your daily life, and you want to learn what it is useful to live in Italy and to work here and to be more proficient in general and to get the most from your experience here in Politecnico. Coming to the more technical part, I will focus on the application for the master degree, of course, and admission criteria and application procedure. Now, the application is entirely, to put it roughly, is about putting your documents about your previous academic career in our system, and you'll be evaluated solely on the basis of your previous academic career and your academic achievements. So it is really straightforward, actually. So the basic entry requirements are a bachelor degree, which is in line with your the program you're applying to. For certain programs in engineering, there is more flexibility, whereas in general, in the area of design and architecture, professors are more strict about the previous academic path. Then, of course, there an English language certificate, because if the programs are entirely in English, you don't have to prove any proficiency in Italian. However, of course, you are required to prove that you are proficient in English in order to follow the lesson at the best of your condition. And therefore, for some countries, there is a minimum GPA required for the application. This is something that you can see on your own. For example, there is a minimum GPA for Turkey or for India or Iran. It depends from your country, actually. For some countries, we do not have such requirements. For others, yes, because our professor really wants the best student, because we receive thousands of applications from all over the world. So they want really to choose the best student for their program. And the application is entirely online, so you don't have to send anything via post. Anything is inside our application system, and you don't have to rely on a post office and so on. Everything is online. You just have to register, enter the information, select your program, upload all the required documents, and then pay the application fee, which is compulsory. Otherwise, your application won't be considered without paying the fee. Again, I recommend, if you are applying to Politecnico di Milano, not to wait the last day, especially if you are outside Europe, because there may be some delays with payment. And if you wait until the last days, we are maybe not, we cannot help you in such a short time for that. So if you want to apply, I recommend to do that some days before, not to wait the last hour for that. Coming more into details again, there are required documents. Our documents are divided into the mandatory and the optional. The mandatory are pretty standard, actually, for example, your academic qualification, your transcript of your records, your resume or CV. Portfolio, which is extremely important for people applying to programs of architecture and design, and probably is the document that impacts most your application if you are applying to programs of architecture and design. So do it very, very carefully. And language proficiency, as I said, here you can find the list of the accepted certificate for us. As you can see, the level is roughly an advanced B2. It's not exactly super high, so it is quite easy to reach for you, I guess. And it may vary the next year, but for the time being, these are the requirements for the English certificate. Italian, as I've said, it is not required, or at least it is required only for programs taught in Italian, which are very, very few programs. And then there are the optional documents. What does it mean, optional? It means that you can submit your application without them, and the application can be valid. However, I strongly recommend to have it anyway, because having them, it can enhance the possibility to be admitted. So, yes, again, so the optional documents are the GRE, which is somehow required for engineering and architecture, and it can boost your application, plus a letter of motivation where you briefly explain why you want to choose Polimi and you want to choose a specific program, and a letter of recommendation. It can be from one of your professor on one of your employer. Right now, it depends if you are working or you are still in the university. And a detailed description of the programs that you attended in your bachelor degree. It is important to note that we evaluate only the bachelor degree. So if you already maybe have a master degree, we do not evaluate them because it counts only what's before the master degree and specifically the bachelor. So it is the documents that it is really important for that. If you have, for example, already a master degree of some kind of specializing master, I recommend to put it in your resume and in your CV, but it will not be counted as an academic qualification for our application. There is an application call open right now for starting in September 2023. It will last until June 22, so we are close to the end. But it is only for students coming from the European Union and countries related to European Union, such as Switzerland or Norway. It is reserved to them because they do not have issues with visas. Otherwise, we have an open call for the second semester for all the students, and this means that you will start in February 2024, but only if you are applying to a program of engineering. It is not available for design or architecture. Anyway, if it is too early for you, there will be an application call from September to November, which is the first one, for starting in September 2024. So 1 year later, we tend to start very in advance with the application, and there will be the next call for the next academic year. I want to remind you that if you haven't finished your bachelor, you can still apply. You are not required to have your academic qualification at the very moment when you're applying. You just have to certify that you can provide it later, otherwise you won't be accepted. But you don't have to think that you need all your documents ready at the moment where you're applying. The same goes for the language certificate. We know that certificate like IELTS or TOEFL takes some time to be produced. So we allow you to apply with them, and you are accepted maybe under condition until you provided that kind of certificate. Coming to another juicy point for you, it is the fees. Everyone generally asks about them, and the fees are the structure of our fees is extremely simple. For non-European student, is 3,900 euros every year for 2 years, of course. Whereas for the EU student is calculated on the basis of the family income in general. Of course, there are some options to fund your studies, which are the merit-based scholarship for international students. We have 3 branches of merit-based scholarship. All are there is a fee waiver inside every kind of merit-based scholarship, so this means that you won't pay the fees of 3,900 euros. Plus, some money is given to you once a year. For example, for the gold, it will be 5,000 euros every year, and there's a scholarship are only for international students and only for the master's degree. For the time being, no application is required. So for us, the very fact that you are applying to a master's degree in Politecnico di Milano, it means that you want that kind of scholarship. So if you are considered eligible by our professor for this scholarship, for example, your portfolio is outstanding or your GPA is really high, you can be considered by your professor for this kind of scholarship, and those are given to you automatically once you are enrolled. There are also additional scholarships which are offered by the Italian government, which are the Invest Your Talent in Italy and the MyChi scholarship. Those are also country specific. For example, the Invest Your Talent in Italy cover a lot of different countries. For example, there is for Azerbaijan, for Kazakhstan, for Vietnam. There is it covers only some countries, and it is not for exactly for everyone. And the same goes for the MyChi scholarship. And plus, I also recommend to check if your local government offers some scholarship for students willing to study abroad, because in some countries there are institutions that offer this kind of scholarship. I remember for sure that there are in Georgia or Indonesia, but there are other countries where there is some possibility. So I strongly recommend you to check this kind of opportunity. And coming to a more leisure part, we have coming to the service that we offer to our student. We have the university accommodation, which there is a separate application for that. But I have to advise that students in general in Italy rely on private accommodation. Again, it is also linked to the cost of living, and you don't have to think that you have to find exactly a dorm next to the campus, because, as I said at the beginning, transportation system works really well. I do that myself. I live outside Milan, but it's really practical to reach the campus with public transportation. And for that, we also offer some discount on that, because we think that it's really important also to benefit from this one. Then we have welcome activities for students admitted, and the buddy program. What is a buddy program? Basically, if you are new to the campus, you do not have already friends there, you are linked to, you have to apply to it actually, but you are a currently enrolled student is assigned to you, and it can help you in the first month for some practical issues, for to get acquainted to the campus basically, and to your study program. General match also on the basis of the program, so it will be helpful if you do not have already someone that you know that live in Milan. So it can be really beneficial for you in the first month or year at Politecnico. I've already mentioned that we have a lot of double degrees and exchange programs with many partners abroad, and not only within the Idea League and Technical University in Europe, but also abroad. We have student association, we have a lot of cultural events, sport. There is a brand new campus right next to my office actually, which is the Giuliati campus. It works as a gym and also for the athletics. About Italian and foreign language courses, Giordano already covered it, because again, they are really important for us, and probably we don't mention that they are completely free of toll. They are not. You don't have to pay as an international student for courses of Italian, because again, it is really important, and we want to encourage you to learn Italian while you are here. And we also offer discount for museums, cinemas, and theaters. Coming to what is after your master degree, you can also consider a PhD here, especially since from this year, and probably also in next year, there are much more scholarship available for PhD candidates. So they are opening a lot more programs. So if you're considered an academic inside a career inside the academic field and the research here at Politecnico, but also to enhance your skills for entering the job market later, you can consider a PhD in Politecnico di Milano. Here's the list of the program, but you have to consider that there are much more. And of course, PhD programs are related to very specific subjects. So if you're interested in doing research, well, there are for sure many occasions for you, especially if you're a student of engineering. And we are also linked to industries, and there are options for PhD in cooperation with industries. And again, it's linked to that, to the career service, which offer a lot of support for our students. And Giorgiana, did you enjoy some activities made by the career service in Politecnico di Milano? Can you tell us something about the activities of career service?
Yes, actually, career service was another reason that I chose Milano, because when I was doing my research, what master to choose, I also found this on the website, and it was really interesting. You basically connect on their platform based on your student credentials, and there you can see a lot of internships options suitable for you. You can choose them however you want. If you want to be something extracurricular or curricular, meaning that your program has an internship integrated, with a certain number of credit points, meaning that the internship is part of your academic path, or you can find there a master thesis internship. A lot of people prefer to work practically in a company, have a supervisor, and this way to write a thesis based on their work there, combining the useful with something practical. Career service also has a lot of events, interesting events and projects. Myself, I've been already involved in 2 projects of career service. One was Career Service Awards, which was basically a series of webinars, of meetings with career advisors, where you would make up your mind a little bit and learn about yourself. What is your professional character? What would be suitable for you? What would you like? What would be the best option for you? Now I'm also enrolled in another project called Am I an Innovator? Meant in the same way to assess if you are maybe the innovator type, maybe you are more suitable for a corporation pathway, or maybe for a PhD. And also they have a lot of individual events like webinars or seminars in person, where someone from a big company or a big institution, big names of the industry, come to speak on various topics. And for example, I attended a lot of this kind of webinars in my field, in biomedical, because you can find many events based on your program. Or maybe women in technology was another topic. A lot of various topics that you can enjoy.
Yeah, actually, we are very high ranked also for the score of our career service, because it's really efficient and it really helps students to provide internship and also in doing orientation after during your academic path. So it's not just about finding you a job, but also helps you to understand what you really want to do after your degree. And I will just link what we are saying now with what I said at the beginning, that we need students to learn Italian, because half of our international students choose to remain in Italy as their first job experience after the work, or even during their academic path, because actually the system works and the career service works. So if you're really interested in, you're very focused on finding a job after your path, this is surely an opportunity for you, and you should take advantage of it for sure, because we are a very good university for that. You can learn more again in the website of the career service, where because they host a lot of different activities online and offline, so you can take advantage of them. And finally, also talking about your prospect about after your graduation, I've said at the beginning that we release a lot of patents and we have spin-off. We have also a startup accelerator, which is the PolyHub. So if you come into one of our master degree and you already have some kind of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial mindset and attitude, this is surely the place for you. It is a place where basically you are allowed to develop your entrepreneurial idea with the help of our professor and our staff, and they will also help you to find founders for your ideas if you are considered worthy of being developed, and to find you a link which is with industries and companies. It is a really good place for networking if you want to go into the entrepreneurial world. So this is another opportunity that we offer to current students, and also for students that want to do their own company later. This is just a start for them. So it is really another opportunity that can be useful to you. And welcome to the end of the presentation. You can contact us anywhere if you have any question. And I want to talk a little bit about this program, which is Ask a Student. Basically, we have current student of master degree program that is available for you if you have a specific question about student life, the programs, because who knows the program better than the students enrolled in the program. Georgiana is among them, so if you want to learn more about biomedical engineering, you can book an appointment with her online, and you can schedule a video call whenever they're available. She's super available, but this is true also for all our students. For example, if you're interested in design and engineering, we can book a phone call with our student of design and engineering. And most of them are also international students, so you can learn their experience about Milan, about their campus, how do they find their program, how the course is structured. This is really interesting, and it gives you a real perspective on what it is really studying in Polimi like. So this is really an opportunity for you to make up your mind and understand what programs really suit you, and maybe some other not. But it is your choice. Again, we want you to provide with the most accurate information possible, so you can benefit from this service too. So contact us if you have a further question. There will be a Q&A now, so I leave the floor to Luke right now, if you wanted to add something.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you, first of all, Gabriele and Georgiana, for your great explanations already. We did receive some questions, so we're going through them. Just to mention that for people that are watching the recording, you can still write your questions as well. So I know these days a lot of people also watch the recording. You can still participate, write your questions. We will send them through to the staff of Politecnico di Milano. Also, let us know your feedback in the poll. So we have opened up a couple of poll questions. And for the live audience, if you haven't done so, let us know your feedback. And it would be great to receive that. And yeah, so let's start with the questions. Question from Katarina that we received is, what opportunities do I have to study with a scholarship if I'm not from the EU? You did mention something about this. But
well, we can show again the slide if you agree. I'll go briefly on that one about scholarship. Okay, this one. There are always several questions about the scholarship, but if you're not from the EU, again, all the scholarships are available to you. In general, for your international students, we have the merit-based scholarship. So those are, you can see them listed here, and those are specifically for international students. This is one of the opportunities that we have. Plus, there are additional scholarships offered by our foreign office, our government, basically. So they're not managed by Politecnico di Milano directly. And but those are often country specific. So it depends from which country you are from. For example, the industrial planning in Italy has a range of countries that can be applied for this kind of scholarship, whereas if you come from another country, maybe not. I also forget to mention that you have another opportunities of funding your study, because while you are here, you can work as a student inside the university. We have a specific program for a student that allows them to work with us doing administrative tasks, and this is really convenient because we are very flexible, so we accommodate this time of your work with the time of your study. So it is not like when you work outside the campus, when you are forced to obey to other kind of schedule. Here, if you choose to work inside the campus with us, we can accommodate your time of the lessons with the time of your job, so you don't have to skip lesson in order to work. The pay is around 13 euros per hour, so it is also very convenient for funding your study and to help you sustain and to basically help you with the expenses here. This is also another opportunity that I forget to mention.
Great. Good to hear. Thank you. Gabriella, I hope that is useful for those people about the scholarship. There was a special question about the DSU scholarship. I think it's a bit of different one, maybe from Dana, asking if we can we apply for the DSU scholarship if we start the studies in February 2024.
I'm not 100% sure because generally the DSU scholarship advice comes out later. So I will have to check about that because I'm not sure about 224 because generally the application is more near to the enrollment phase, so it is quite early for that. So I cannot say for sure for the next year, but in general, yes, it is available later on.
Okay, thank you. And Ola has a question: can students go for an Erasmus Plus exchange semester or even academic year if they do a master degree in Politecnico di Milano?
Yes, I'm not exactly an expert of this kind of agreement, but I know that there are several Erasmus Plus agreements with other universities and with other industries. I'm not from that unit, so I cannot say that for in more technical terms how it works. But I know that we have plenty of Erasmus Plus students here. So yes, there is also this opportunity.
Okay, great, thank you.
Then contact us later if you want more info anyway.
All right, great, thanks. So we put the contacts on the screen. Ola has another question. What kind of internships can students apply for while doing their master? You mentioned something about some options, but internships, can you say something about that?
Yes, it depends also from your field of study. In general, there are more internships available for you from your field of course, but that can be done with other institutions, with other industry we cooperate with. There are many options managed by our career service. I don't know if Giorgio wants to add something about this internship part.
It's a really subjective matter because beside the field that you are working in, and of course the entire discussion about your field, if it's suitable or not to work before finishing the master or after, or what kind of work you can do, it's also a subjective matter because it depends on your way of organizing your time, of what you want to do, what do you want from these internships, because you will find a lot of people only working and trying to put maybe the academics on the second place, but there are also people still having the academics on the first place and maybe having an internship with a smaller number of hours. This is what I'm doing. I'm working, but I'm still having my academics on the first place because I want to finish this degree in time and to learn everything thoroughly. Again, it depends on how you organize your time and how do you see the entire experience, because hearing opinions from everyone, you will hear people saying that school is way harder and you cannot do anything besides studying. Me, for example, I've managed to do both. Maybe there are people that are taking some sort of a one break here, or they even have it in their program to work. So it's really a subjective matter, and that's why you have to know exactly what do you want. But of course,
yeah, exactly.
It's possible.
Some internships are more demanding, other less demanding. It really depends from your subjective evaluation of the things. We, as Politecnico di Milano, can give you the opportunity to do them. How to manage them in terms of your time, of course, it is not something we can interfere with. So certain students are perfectly able to do more internship during their studies. Others prefer to concentrate more merely on study. So again, it depends. We offer you this opportunity, but it's up to you to decide if it's for you or not.
Okay. Hope that answered that question, and thank you for both of your answers. Dana has another question. If the deadline is July 19th, when will the final results be announced?
Well, generally it's 1 month later. from 3 weeks, 1 month. It really depends also on the professor and on the program, because there is the first phase, which is the evaluation of your credential in general terms, if your documents are okay from a formal point of view, and then there is the evaluation in comparison also with other candidates. So it really depends also on the number of application and how much time the professor take to evaluate everything, especially for architecture, when they have to see the portfolio in details, and the same goes for design. It really depends from the program.
Okay. That was clear. For the other, Dominic is asking, when can I start my application for fall 2024? Since my graduation is in July 2024, so afterwards.
Okay, July 2024. Okay.
This winter?
Yes, you can start, as I mentioned, you can start your application even if you do not have your bachelor degree ready right now. So basically, you apply and you say, okay, I will be graduating in that period before, of course, the enrollment in Politecnico di Milano. But yeah, you can provide it later. You can start applying even from the. If you want to start in September 2024, you can start applying even in this September.
Okay, thank you. Hope that answered that question. Question from Carlo. How many hours is the Italian course?
Giordano?
What was the question?
How many hours
can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I guess
how many hours
per
is
week?
the Italian course? Okay.
They are required a number of 4 hours per week, long of, I don't remember, maybe 12 weeks or 10 weeks. It's more or less the length of the semester, and you can take, after you complete this number of courses, that, by the way, you have to complete to attend at least 75% of the courses, which is a reasonable number, considering that you are learning Italian and you want to take a language course and a language exam after. And after you finish your courses, it's again up to you when you want to sign in for the exam, which again is pretty easy. If you understand a little bit of Italian already, it shouldn't be any problem with it.
Okay, great, thank you. Good to hear. Question from Olha. How can we prove our English proficiency during the interview at the university?
Well, again, no, because we do not have an interview. Basically, it just the application is just about evaluating your previous academic credential and career. So there are no interviews, and you can prove your proficiency in English only by providing a suitable certificate for us. Again, you are not forced to provide it during the application. You can provide it later, but still you have to provide a certificate. The only way you have to skip the phase of the providing certificate is if your bachelor degree was entirely taught in English. If your bachelor was entirely taught in English, in that case, you just have to prove it, and you're not required to provide a certificate. Otherwise, it is compulsory.
Okay. Question from Di Giorgion, if I say that right. Where can I ask a student? It's on the screen.
You can go. You can find it in our contact, but maybe I can type the question in the link in the chat, because you just have to navigate. Go to the website of Politecnico di Milano in English, of course, and search for info for international prospective student. And while you are there, you'll find this banner. You just go inside, and you'll find the program divided by area, and inside it you can find all the students available for an interview and appointment with you. Yes, it's very straightforward. You just have to go to the part of
I put the link.
International prospective student. Yes, I put the link, but
I put the link actually in the chat, so it's there.
And if I may add, this project is open to everyone, meaning that you can enter there and look for the ambassador of the program that you want to pursue, or if your program doesn't have an ambassador, or maybe you find another person that is actually from your country, you can have a meeting with anyone. It doesn't matter if you have the same master program or bachelor degree, or there is no constraint. You can book a meeting with anyone.
Yeah, exactly. If you want more information, or also if you are already admitted, they are available for you if you have specific doubts. Not much about the procedure, because for that there is the office for that. But if you want to know more about the life of a student, and more specifically the program and the content of the program, in that case they are fully available for you. And I strongly recommend actually to benefit from this service, because it really helps you to give you some guidance.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. And I hope that answered the question. So yeah, we are going to have to leave. So by the way, if you missed some part of this webinar, I also saw another question that's coming up about the tuition fee. You can still watch it back. So it will actually restart automatically within minutes. So you can just stay on and hear the start if you missed it. Or of course, watch it again. We will send the link to you. There was a question from Philip. What is the tuition fee again from the Master in Engineering?
Again, the tuition fee doesn't change concerning the programs. The fee is the same for every master degree program, which is 2,900 euros for non-European student, whereas for European student it is between 900 euros and 3,900 euros, because for European student the fees are calculated on the basis of the family income. But the program you're choosing doesn't make the difference. Any difference concerning the fees.
Okay, thank you. Question from Olha. Is it possible to combine studies and work?
Yes, it is possible, but you have to consider that if you're talking about regular work and not internship, there are restrictions from students that are not from European Union. Students that are not from European Union are restricted to 20 hours every week as a maximum working schedule. So, there is this kind of restriction. It is legal, of course, but you are limited to 20 hours every week if you choose to work outside the campus, of course. And if you are asking if it's possible, I mean, you can manage it. Again, it's subjective, because in general our programs are really demanding, so working full-time and study can be quite difficult. But again, it's subjective. Some people manage to do that, other no.
Okay, thank you. That's good to hear. The question from Danar. Some people say that if you apply earlier before the deadline, the sooner you will get the results. Is that true, or is the process of evaluating applications starting after the deadline?
Well, they start to evaluate if your documents are okay, but the result in January comes out later. In January, I recommend to apply before, especially because if you have issues during the application, especially concerning the payments, or maybe some technical issue that can happen sometimes with the server, because especially if you are outside the European Union, it is always better to apply before, as soon as you can, because it can be helpful for you. Well, if you have your documents ready, there's no need to wait until the last days. But again, it depends, because in general, especially in architecture, when they have to see the portfolio, in general, professor would like to see the portfolios all together, because it's one of the fundamental documents for students of architecture. So they would like to see them all together. So sometimes they do not check them until the end of the application. But again, I strongly recommend to apply early and not in the last part of the call, because it's better for us to manage and for you in general. I also didn't mention one thing about the portfolio. I have just a couple of tips regarding the portfolio. I just wanted to mention. There isn't that much upload space on our online services regarding the portfolio. This is made on purpose because professor wants you to select only the work that are strictly relevant to the program and not just show everything you have done inside the portfolio. So it is really important to be very selective with the work that you put in your portfolio, and also to show the intermediate phases of your work. So not only the final product, but our professor wants to see also intermediate sketches and preparatory sketches from your project, because they want you to understand how you reflect and how you reason on the architecture and design problems. This is just a couple of tips for you for the portfolio.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think that's very useful. And we're getting thumbs up, so I guess that's useful for more people to hear about that. Good to see. So getting down to the last questions. Dominic mentioned he's from Ghana, and can I provide a special certificate as my English proficiency? Yeah, he mentions the certificate name.
The certificates that we accept are only the one listed on our website. If your certificate is not listed there, it is not acceptable for us. I'm sorry, but we are really strict about that.
Okay, I will provide a link to the application portal in a second, so you can find a lot of the information right there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's a question from Dominic again about the school support. Does the school support visa application services for international students?
Well, actually, we can provide assistance, and we are in touch with consulates, but I cannot say that we provide support, because for the Italian regulation, what's academic and what's related to visa are not strictly linked. So everything regarding visa is entirely up to the embassy or the consulate when you request the visa. So we just provided them the certification. We just say to them that you are eligible for us, that we admit you, and when you have your admission letter ready, you can apply for a visa. But after that, there are some background checks that are entirely made by the consulates on the embassy. So if you are admitted, it doesn't mean for sure that the authorities will give you the visa. It is not 100% sure, because again, they made their own evaluation, so we can just pressure them a little bit, but we do not have the power to interfere with them concerning the releasing of the visa.
Okay, thank you for that answer. All right, we've come down to the end of the session. I don't see any further questions at this stage. If you still have one, we can still take a last one. Just let us know. Otherwise, I have a question for everybody else, because we'd like to know how we did. So besides the polling questions that we have already submitted to you, please also let us know about this one. As you can see on the screen, how do you feel the session went? Just for us to get a feel. If you felt it was great, then let us know. That's a 5. And otherwise, also, of course, you can let us know any feedback in the chat. So if you enjoyed it, well, we already received some thank yous, so I guess that's good to hear. All right, so that's great to hear the feedback, and I see most people are satisfied. So great. Well, having said that, I don't see further questions. So then I think we can round off the session for today. Again, for people watching the recording, you can still write your questions. Do take advantage. And for others, I would like to thank you simply for having turned up from all the different countries that we had with us today. That's great to see. You mentioned briefly the PhD. Maybe a brief moment to mention, we just have the announcement that we will do a webinar about the PhD program later in July. So if that's something that you're interested in, then simply keep an eye out on our website. So that's where you can find it soon. Having said that, most thanks go, of course, to Gabriele and to Georgiana, excuse me, to both of you. Thank you very much for your time and making it available and your thorough and detailed explanations. Maybe last word over to you, Gabriele.
Yeah, I want also to thank the participants for coming with us today. The questions were very on point, and I would recommend them to contact us again and to contact our ambassador if they have further questions about the programs, the application, documentation, and so on. Everything that you need to know, we are here to answer. Again, if you're interested in PhD, we will host, as you said, the webinar we do specifically for PhDs and research with other testimonials, of course. So if you're interested in also that kind of program, this will be very useful for you. I hope this session has been useful to you all. So, and I hope to see you in Milan with us. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.